Welcome everyone to this fourth day of the Coloquio. And our very first talk is going to be with Ángel Zaldívar, and the name is When is the Frame of Nuclei Spatial? A new approach.
Well, first I want to thank the organizers for making this possible and for all being here. And I wanna dedicate this talk to Harold Simmons. Many of the ideas of the talk are based in Harold's work, and he passed away last October. So let's start with this. Well, I'm gonna show you a work with Guram Beshanishvili, Patrick Morandi, and Francisco Avila. And this work is okay. First, we need to talk about frames, right? So a frame is a complete lattice in which the following distributivity law holds. For every subset, right? So frames can be understood like as a manifestation, as a categorical manifestation of topological spaces, in the following sense that if you consider your favorite topological space, then this denotes the set of open. This is a frame. There are many examples of frames that are not topologies, like a complete Boolean algebra, complete Boolean algebras are frames. As a particular example of this, if you consider any set, then the power set is a complete Boolean algebra, it's a frame.
For a topological space, the one is going to be the point?
No, the one is the whole space.
The whole space?
Yeah, the whole space, and the bottom is the empty set. So this is the frame, right? Everything is here. So complete Boolean algebras, the open set of topological spaces, and there is another one. There are more interesting frames, like consider any partial order set, and this denotes the set of lower sections or downsets, and this denotes the set of upper sections or offsets. A lower section is a subset of A, which the following holds. Lower section. Then, okay, this is a lower section. The upper section is the dual of this notion. Lower section constitutes a frame, and upper section constitutes a frame. In fact, if you consider the partial order set with the upper sections, this is a topological space. Okay. These kind of topological spaces are called Alexandroff spaces. So, as I said before, frames are a categorical manifestation of topological spaces. In a more precise way, taking the open sets constitute a functor. There is the, with every continuous function set to the preimage of the, that is the framework. And there is a reverse functor. This construction is not so straightforward, but every frame can be associated in a universal way. A space, the space of points of the frame, which is equivalent to complete prime filters in the base frame, right? And this is the assignation in arrows, and this denotes the right adjoint of the frame homomorphism, okay? And this right adjoint is continuous in the whole kernel topology of these two guys. So, in short, we have an adjoint situation between the category of topological spaces and the category of frames. And many people work with the oppositive category of the category of frames that are called locals, but I prefer doing it in a more algebraic way, that is frames, not in the opposited one. So if we denote the CVA, the full subcategory of complete Boolean algebras, that is a full subcategory of the category of frames. And the thing is that this category is not reflective in the category of frames, so there is no reflection, in the sense that there is no a left adjoint of the inclusion factor here. So that is one of the main problems to the I want to talk about, because in general, well, I cannot construct a left adjoint of the inclusion, but there are many frames that are reflective in the sense that I can associate it in a universal way, a complete Boolean algebra. And there are many frames that that's not going to happen ever, right? This is the formal definition of the Boolean reflection of a frame. It's a pair, a Boolean algebra, complete Boolean algebra, a frame homomorphism from your favorite frame to the Boolean algebra, and of course, if there exists any other complete Boolean algebra with a morphism from your frame to that Boolean algebra, then that morphism can be factorized through this one uniquely. So what is the thing? It's still an open problem to characterize the frames that have a Boolean reflection. I don't know the answer of that, but there are some approximations to answer that question, right? The thing is that we need to use the quotients of the frame, right? What is a quotient of the frame? Classically, a quotient is a surjective frame morphism to another frame, right? But it's a mess work with quotients, so we prefer to use nuclei. What is a nucleus? A nucleus is a function from the frame to your frame that satisfies the following conditions. So it's a idempotent modality, some people call it like that, and or is the external definition of Labir-Tierney topology. That's another thing, another way to think nuclei. So we can consider the set of all that nuclei. This set is ordered point-wise, and it's a complete lattice, and in fact, it's a frame. So this is a frame. That is an important theorem. This theorem is from Isbell, Simmons, Johnston, and blah blah.
This one condition says that precise means.
Yeah. This one, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so this is a frame, right? And there is a function, universal in, right away I want to say in which way? This one. The notation is a bit messy here. This function do the following. This needs to be a nucleus, so it's given like the most natural one. This, right? Take the supremo with A. The distributive ensure that this is a nucleus, and well, in the this is a frame, right? This is a frame, so why cannot consider the frame of nuclei of the frame of the nuclei, and so on. And this is the this arrow is the corresponding universal in that level, in the level 0, level 1, level 2, blah 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 blah. And we can iterate this process over all the ordinals.
What do you do in the limit?
In the limit you take the colimit. The category of frames is complete, and you can take the colimit of the counts that you construct with these arrows. Yeah. That is the limit case. The successor case is the obvious one. So that is the assembly tower. Many people call this frame the assembly. But, well, okay, that is the assembly tower of the frame. And there are examples of the assembly tower never stabilized. But what this can, the assembly tower is related with complete Boolean algebras. Okay, from some frame, the assembly tower never established. For other frames, a critical situation can occur, like a frame is a complete Boolean algebra if and only if it's isomorphic with its assembly, and the isomorphism is this arrow, right? So the tower does not go any further in this case, right? But there are other examples which the tower stabilizes in the second level. That in the eyes of this nice proposition, that means that the assembly is Boolean because it's going to be isomorphic to its assembly. And there are other examples that the assembly stabilizes in the third. And I don't know any other example of any frame that its assembly stabilizes in the four level. So for the 4 level and beyond, there is nothing known. Okay, that is the thing. A frame is a complete Boolean algebra. It is isomorphic to its assembly. And the thing is that a nice theorem, a theorem of Simmons, says that a frame has a Boolean reflection if and only if its assembly tower is stabilized in some ordinal. And the Boolean algebra that constitutes the reflection of the frame is the assembly of that level, right? So that is the connection between so if the frame has a reflection, that reflection needs to be some of these guys, right? So the question is that, right? When the frame of nuclei is Boolean. Of course, I don't want the case, I don't want to start with a Boolean algebra, right? Because it's not interesting. But for a frame, in which way I can say that this is Boolean or this is Boolean or what. You know? So for many years, many people try to give a complete characterization of the structure of the nuclei of the assembly of the frame. That is quite hard, to be honest. That is really quite hard. But in some cases, that can be described very well. Let's start with the most familiar one, and honestly is the only I know. Is what happened with the spatial case, right? What happened when I start with the spatial frame? Okay, I need to say what is a spatial frame. So you have this adjunction, right? The category of topological spaces, the category of frames, the point functor, and the open sets. So this is not equivalence, but we can see that there is some full category, the category of sobre spaces, and here the category of spatial frames. These two categories, the restriction of this adjoint situation to these two categories is result to be an equivalence. So a frame is spatial if and only if there is some topological space that for some topological space. In fact, the construction ensures that A must be isomorphic to the open set, so it's point space construction. So that is okay. A space is over if every closely reducible set contains only a unique generic point. Yeah. What is a generic point? If you consider a irreducible set, a generic point is a point of the set which the closure is solved. Right? So a set could, a closed set could contain many generic points, but in sobre spaces there is only one. That is what called sobre. It does it too. Yeah. That is a bad joke of Johnston, by the way. So I think Grothendieck is the one who called it sobre spaces. So the general answer is still unknown. The spatial case is important, so I want to know that, right? When the assembly of a spatial frame is spatial, right? Okay. I know that the two questions are different, right? I ask in Boolean, but the thing is that the spatiality of the assembly is strictly linked with the Boolean structure. So, okay, we need these three technical definition. I don't like it, but whatever, right? So let me tell you what is this about. Well, for giving an example of sobre spaces, every spectral space is a sobre space. The spectrum of any commutative ring is a sobre space. So let me tell you what is a scatter, weakly scatter, and disperse. Okay. So a space is we consider a point of a subspace of a given space. So we are going to say that this point is weakly isolated if I can find an open set for the which the following holds. Right? And the space S is weakly scattered if each non-empty closed subspace has an weakly isolated point. That's the definition of weakly scattered. Now, if you consider a subset of a space and a point in there, we are going to say that the point is detached if there exists, if one can find an open set with the following. Okay. With X living here, and this is the closure of the point, but this is not the closure. In a moment I'm gonna say what is this thing. And okay, scatter is more common. The space is okay. Again, consider a subspace, a point there. So you're going to say that the point is isolated in the usual way, isolated in T if it's open in T. Yeah, a space is a scatter if for all not NP closed contains an isolated point. Okay, so later I'm gonna say what is this thing. It's the equivalent class of the point in some relation. So I know these definitions are kind of are very technical and don't put attention in this. So, but the thing is that Isbell and Simons proved this in two distinct separately. For the T0 space, it assembly is Boolean if and only if the space is scattered. In which case, the assembly is a complete atomic Boolean algebra, which says it's a power set. So it's very, very special. It's the power set of something, right? So, but the thing is that if one reads carefully the proofs of that, there is something missing in the proofs. Especially in the Isbell papers are really awful to read, trust me. But in the Simmons paper, yeah, there is something there missing too. And the investigation, or our investigation, is to fix that. To fix that. In fact, we can generalize this result to any space with a reflection. Then there is things comes from. So how many time I got left?
Half an hour.
Okay, good. So a T0 T0 reflection of a space Okay, the thing missing in the theorems is the soberty of the space. The space needs to be sober. That's a thing. Okay, the T0 hypothesis cannot be dropped. There are examples, which is this is false if without T0. And okay, first the T0 reflection of space is if you consider your favorite topological space, you can consider this relation in the points of the space if and only if this relation is equivalence relation, and you consider the quotient of that, and this is this has a structure of topological space, blah 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 blah, and this is the T0 reflection of the space. Right? Okay, good. So, to talk about the generalization of that theorem, we need that ingredient and these two ingredients. Priestley spaces and Sakia spaces. What is a Priestley space? This is a Priestley space. A Priestley space is a topological order space, which is compact, in which the following separation axiom holds. Right? I can separate points, distinct points, with Kloppen sets, Kloppen offsets. Where offset is something I taught before, the upper sections with respect disorder. Mm-hmm. So that is in fact that is the definition of offset. That is the offset. So and a Sakia space is a special Priestley space in which for every Kloppen the lower set determines, but that Kloppen is still Kloppen. That condition is related with modality, with modal logics, something like that. Denote Pries and ESA, the categories of Priestley spaces and Sakia spaces. The arrows in Pries are continuous order functions, and the arrows in Sakia spaces are continuous order, but are the following condition needs to hold. This needs to hold in the category of Sakia spaces. These are the arrows. So the thing is that Priestley duality says that the category of Priestley spaces is dually equivalent to the category of distributive lattices. And the category of Esakia spaces is equivalent, that Esakia duality are equivalent to the category of Henkin algebras with Henkin morphisms. In particular, every frame is a Henkin algebra because it has a Henkin implication, right? Complete Henkin algebras are exactly frames. So, in the eyes of this duality, every frame corresponds to a unique Esakia space. That Esakia space needs to be special because the frames are special Henkin algebras. They are complete ones. So, if we denote like that, X sub the frame, it's Esakia space. The exact definition of that space is the space of all prime filters in the frame. So then that Esakia space satisfies that the closure of each open offset is Kloppen. It's rather technical, but such Esakia spaces are called extremely ordered disconnect. And in fact, a Henkin algebra is a frame if and only if its Esakia space is extremely ordered disconnect one. Okay. The thing is that a closed offset in a Esakia space is nuclear if for each Kloppen in the space, the lower section of the intersection of that two guys is Kloppen again in the space. A point is nuclear if the point is a nuclear subset. And I'm going to denote that NS, the set of all nuclear subsets. It can be proved that NS is a coframe. And in fact, for any frame and in the corresponding Esakia space of that frame, then the frame of all nuclei of the frame is dually isomorphic to the frame of nuclear subsets of the Esakia space. So, in theory, it is more easy to work with nuclear subsets than with nuclei, but trust me, that's not true. It's hard. The two ways are hard. Okay. The another ingredient I need is I'm gonna denote that like that the set of all nuclear points, and this is one of the main tools that one can prove that the nuclear points are exactly the points of the frame. So it is more easy to capture recover the point space of the frame with the nuclear points of that space, because a space has points. The frame is pointless, you know. So a frame is spatial if and only if the set of nuclear points is a dense subset of the Esakia space of the frame. That is one interesting result. Indeed, in that case, nuclei are isomorphic to that space. And, okay, with the T0 reflection, the other ingredient I want is that the T0 reflection behaves well with the weakly scatterer and the scatterer construction, like this. And the thing is that this is the important theorem. For a spatial frame, the nuclei, the assembly of the frame is going to be a complete Boolean algebra that's going to be equivalent to the is a complete atomic Boolean algebra, and that the space of all nuclear points is a scattered space. And okay, and this theorem works for any space using the T0 reflection and the above two equivalents in the case. So you can recover the classical theorem of Harrow and Isbell, in which you need to assume that the space is T0 or sobre, and then that theorem is a consequence of the last one, on this one. There is some details here, but I don't want to talk about that details with other kind of topologies, and the way to prove this theorem is quite intricate, but that's all. That's all I want to talk about.
Are there any questions for the speaker?
Did you interact sometimes in, for example, to make some classifying space in order to recover? For example, sometimes, for example, there are world ciudad, when you have to add to every open set up the points, and then you record the space but homomorphically. So you.
I never see something like that in point-free topology, but classifying spaces?
Yeah, for example, you have a space, a topological space, and then you consider a category with open sets, but also you add the objects, the points you add as the open sets and the point belonging to the open sets, and also the inclusion. Then you record the topological space when you associate classifying space.
Oh, I see.
So maybe you lost a lot of time, a lot of things you are using frame. But,
I mean, right now I don't know really, but I don't know what estoy seguro que he visto algo similar en algún momento, pero no me acuerdo.
Well, I think maybe you lost a lot of information with classifying space.
Va, posible.
Maybe it's more useful to study the simple sets. These kind of things.
Any other questions?
In the category top, if we have a subcategory full, we can make the reflexive hull of that category. By T0.
Yeah, like the T0 reflection.
In the category of frames, is there a result about that we can make the reflexive hull of any?
No, that's not true. Yeah.
Okay.
If that will be true, the category of complete Boolean algebras will be reflective.
But maybe not the category, but a whole for that category. The minimal category that contains that category and be reflexive.
Oh yeah. There is a theorem that says that whole doesn't exist, but for the complete Boolean algebras. Yeah. In fact, the example, the thing that the CVA is not reflective relies in the fact that I have this right here. Yeah, the complete Boolean algebra of a countable infinity of generators does not exist. That's why weird things can happen in complete Boolean algebras, trust me.
Any other question? If not, we thank again the speaker.